Good evening, everybody. I'm Praying Medic, and this is my news, no intelligence update for Monday, October 5th. Thank you for joining me on the show. It was a very interesting weekend if you were on social media, especially if you were on Twitter. President Trump went into the hospital, and the media and his enemies went a little bit crazy. I'm going to get you caught up on some of the drama that happened over the weekend in case you missed it. And let's just jump into our news for the last couple of days. So, interesting fact brought out here by Chillum. She got this report. Officials from the city of Cleveland, Ohio, said 11 cases of the Wuhan virus could be tracked back to the September 29th presidential debate, which was in Cleveland, at a medical clinic, actually. The cases were a result of debate pre-planning and setup, with the majority of cases impacting debate organizers and members of the media. So the question is, why now are all these people coming down with COVID that seems to be connected to the debates? And why is it only Republicans that are reported as coming down with COVID? You notice that there aren't any prominent Democrats that are coming out saying they're testing positive. It's almost all Republicans. Is it, in fact, just Republicans who are getting sick, or are Dems getting sick and not reporting it? And if they're not reporting it, why? Is there some kind of agenda? Well, not long after, several members of the Senate Judiciary Committee said they tested positive, Mike Lee being one of them. Andrew McCabe's attorney notified Lindsey Graham that McCabe would not be testifying before Senate Judiciary because of health concerns. He even refused to testify by video conference. So convenient that members of Senate Judiciary come down with COVID, and then McCabe decides he's not going to testify before Senate Judiciary. Well, that's convenient. To me, it looks like a setup. It looks like there was this plan to maybe get a few people sick, and then if you get a few people sick on certain committees, you can then have a plausible reason for not having these hearings, and in fact that hearing was canceled later on. And to go along with that, after Republican members of Senate Judiciary said they tested positive, it's the same committee that is going to be doing the hearings for Amy Coney Barrett. So now Democrats are demanding that Lindsey Graham cancel or postpone the nominations for Supreme Court Justice until after the election because of COVID. Funny how this COVID thing just seems to work into the plans of everyone who opposes President Trump. Kind of odd how that works. All right, so President went into the hospital over the weekend, developed a fever and some symptoms, could have stayed at the White House, decided to go into Walter Reed Hospital, went in, and the doctors were giving reports on his health condition throughout the weekend. There are also some photographs that came out of the president working while he's at the hospital and being tended to by the healthcare providers there. He was actually working, getting some things done. You know, if you understand how President Trump is, he's a doer. He's got so much responsibility and so many things on his schedule. I don't imagine it's easy for him to take any time off. You know, the mainstream media likes to poke fun at Trump as if he's always out golfing and doing nothing. But he has gotten more done in 3.5 years than any two presidents that I can think of. He's a consummate doer, always getting things done, always accomplishing. And it's his personality. Personality type is like that. So I wanted to just point this out. General Flynn tweeted this out, and this is just going to be a chronological order. So some of these things I just mentioned were happened on the 3rd. This was on the morning of the 4th. General Flynn tweeted this out. It's a Bible verse. For nothing is concealed that won't be revealed, and nothing is hidden that won't be made known and brought to light. Luke 8:17. Now, if you think that's just a cute little Bible verse that General Flynn wanted to throw out there, it's not. General Flynn is trolling the deep state. General Flynn knows about the secrets of the deep state. He knows about the corruption. He knows about the plan that the deep state had to pull off an insurgency and overthrow our government and give the power to foreign governments like China. Flynn knew all about it. He's got information. He knows where the bodies are buried. So this is Flynn letting the deep state know once he is cleared and once his case is dismissed, he is going to start revealing things they don't want to have revealed. Yesterday, Rick Grenell tweeted photos of Trump supporters in Hawaii, which is a major Democrat stronghold. And Rick Grenell is optimistic that maybe we could flip Hawaii. He also tweeted out some photos from various places in Washington state, and he thinks that there's going to be some congressional seats flipping red in the election. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of congressional seats that flip red this year. All right, so yesterday the president posted a video from his suite at Walter Reed Hospital. There's been a lot of people putting out theories and conjecture about where this picture was actually taken and where he actually was. And I have nothing to substantiate any of those theories. So as far as I believe, he was at Walter Reed Hospital in a very nice suite, hanging out, working. I'm not buying into the theories about what else he was doing. People are welcome to have their own opinions. I'm not buying into it. All right, so the press kind of predictably freaked out about many things regarding the president's hospitalization. Some of them said he was dying. We have to have a plan of succession. We got to make Nancy Pelosi president. We have to get rid of, he's obviously mentally incompetent, and we got to do the 25th Amendment. And there was so much hysteria on Twitter Friday, Saturday, and Sunday about his treatment, guesses about how bad his condition was based on a limited number of medical findings. What was his pulse ox? What did his chest x-ray look like? What were his vital signs like? And then there were these anonymous reports about Mark Meadows, some people saying that Meadows was frustrated and angry, that Meadows was giving good reports one minute and then bad reports the next minute. I think all of that is fake news, most of it. So there's a lot of conjecture. Some doctors said, oh, he's on dexamethasone. That means his condition is really serious and he's unstable. A lot of hysteria, a lot of histrionics, and much ado about nothing. It's just Trump getting his enemies wound up. And if you were on Twitter this weekend and you had to sit through all that, I feel bad for you. I was on a little bit. I've been working, Denise and I have been working on the book. I checked in a little bit now and then, but I tried to ignore most of it. All right, so on the 4th, right, this is yesterday, Sunday, President Trump decided to go for a ride around Walter Reed Hospital on the outside to thank all the people who showed up. So there was massive show of support there. There was this one area, I think it was Saturday night, was it Friday night or Saturday night, where there was probably 1,000 people cheering, singing, we love you, Mr. President, and get well soon. And Trump was having pizzas delivered to them. There was a video this morning on Twitter some guy put out talking about Trump was having pizzas delivered like every half hour, 45 minutes. Pizzas were being just dropped off for all the people who were there outside the hospital. So Trump does a little circle around the hospital. And yeah, the media went hysterical over it. This doctor, Leana Wen, she's actually the previous president of Planned Parenthood, which is why she went a little bit ballistic. If real Donald Trump were my patient in unstable condition and contagious illness, and he suddenly left the hospital to go for a car ride that endangers himself and others, I'd call security to restrain him, then perform a psychiatric evaluation to examine his decision-making capacity. That's just kind of typical of how the media and President Trump's haters went off when they saw him driving around And then there was all this fake news about the Secret Service was indignant and angry. Trump doesn't care about our health. He doesn't care if we get sick. And we're talking about the flu, people, for Pete's sake. Secret Service gets paid to put their life on the line. These guys don't care about Trump. They're not worried about getting the crud from Trump because he's going around in SUV wearing a mask, for Pete's sake. It's just silly. Anyway, although their behavior is annoying, the unhinged antics of the media and the president's enemies are making Americans wonder, what the hell is wrong with these people? I mean, if you're a normal, average person and you look at this kind of behavior and how these people were just going crazy on Twitter and Facebook and social media over the weekend, normal people would look at their behavior and go, what is wrong? Seriously, what is wrong with these people? Why are they acting that way? Well, the media and Trump's enemies are handing him 4 more years in the Oval Office. That's where this is going to come down to. Bless their hearts. All right. As the weekend progressed, more people close to the president were reported to have tested positive. This is an article. 7 members of the Trump administration now have been confirmed as positive for COVID. And the number kept growing. Kayleigh McEnany tested positive. She just announced. We've got, let's see, Kellyanne Conway, Chris Christie, Ron Johnson, Ronna McDaniel, right? A lot of people close to the president. Suddenly, magically, all came down with COVID. How the heck does that happen? So then the fake news switched their tactic, and they said there's a full-blown freakout in the White House. Anxiety grows in the administration as the increasing number of staffers test positive for COVID, with aides not trusting each other and some trying to find out ways to avoid coming into work, right? So fake news is trying to spin this narrative that people in the Trump administration are anxious and worried and freaking out and panicked because some of their coworkers have the flu. Yeah, I'm sure that's not what's exactly happening. Anyway, let's move on to something else. A lot of you know that Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan got face-stomped by the Supreme Court, Michigan Supreme Court judge, who ruled that her COVID orders are unconstitutional because she bypassed the legislative authority to institute such regulations. Basically ruling the governor does not have the authority to do that. Hey, Doug Ducey, if you're listening, I hope you're listening, because the same thing goes for you. You have no authority to make these edicts without the consent of Congress. So the Michigan's Attorney General, Dana Nessel, decided she is going to stop enforcing Governor Whitmer's coronavirus regulations because, well, they're unconstitutional, they're illegal, so not unlawful maybe. Going to stop enforcing them. I'm glad to hear that. This morning, Mark Meadows said on Fox and Friends that the president wants him to get some declassification rolling. And President Trump went on a tear this morning, just tweeting and tweeting and tweeting this morning before he left the hospital. Now, he's scheduled to leave the hospital about an hour ago. I think he was scheduled to go back to the White House from Walter Reed at 6 Eastern, around 6 Eastern. I don't know. I haven't been checking up on that. But he is anxious to get back in the saddle and get things going. I think we all know that declass is a big thing. We're all looking for more documents to get declassified. Speaking of which, so we have another article from Sean Davis on the Federalist, and he reports that Gina Haspel is sitting on sensitive documents, blocking their declassification to avoid personal embarrassment. Now, we know if you look at the Classification Authority guidelines, the president is the ultimate classifying authority, and the guidelines say that documents cannot remain classified if it is only to avoid personal embarrassment. That is not a legitimate reason to keep documents classified. So Davis writes here that Haspel and FBI Director Chris Wray both want Trump to lose because it's the only chance they have of keeping their jobs. One senior intelligence official told the Federalist, they're banking on Biden winning and keeping them where they are. It's far more important for Haspel to block any embarrassment for herself or her agency than to have full transparency and accountability, another senior official told the Federalist. She's just hoping she can get past the election so the documents will never come out. It's not a source protection issue, it's an embarrassment issue, said the official. Further, officials also accused Haspel of repeatedly lying to the White House about the status of documents that are in the pipeline for declassification and release. The officials said that Haspel has consistently provided baseless excuses for her failure to produce certain documents, falsely claiming that she can't physically locate the documents or that her agency doesn't technically own them and therefore can't release them. So lots of excuses coming out. I don't know about the accuracy of this. We have, sources, but I tend to believe that there's probably a good chance this is true. I think that people like Chris Wray and Haspel, they have a lot at stake, and not just personally, but for the agency. And it's getting down to this point now where we're less than a month from the election. And if they can stall and just run out the clock and hope that Trump is taken out of office and Joe Biden is put in, that's probably a reasonable game plan for them. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're actually doing this. All right, moving along. In our continuing saga of Godfather 3, Cardinal Giovanni Becciu he's a cardinal who had recently stepped down from his position. He was the second highest ranking cardinal in the Secretariat of State at the Vatican. He stepped down and he is now accused of using 700,000 euros of Vatican money to bribe witnesses to get a conviction against his rival, Cardinal George Pell. So who is George Pell? Well, Pell served as the finance minister at the Vatican. He was actually appointed as the first prelate to a new agency that Pope Benedict had created in 2011. And the purpose of that agency was to basically bring some transparency to some corrupt finance practices at the Vatican Bank. There was a lot of money laundering going on, and that's not hearsay or speculation. There was a lot of people who were actually convicted of money laundering connected to the Vatican. So Pell was brought in to clean this up. And in 2017, he went back to Australia and stood trial, and he was convicted of sex crimes, which were very, very sketchy accusations. He was convicted, he began serving his sentence, and then a year later, Australia's highest court overturned his conviction. Well, now we find out that Becciu, his rival, is suspected of wiring the cash to recipients in Australia who helped ensure hostile testimony in the trial. Quoting leaked documents, Italian newspapers reported that Vatican investigators suspected that Becciu hoped to use the money to derail Pell's financial transparency program, which threatened to expose his allegedly corrupt management of Vatican cash. So this was a little targeting of Cardinal Pell, who I think was railroaded. And we're going to get more information about this as time goes on. This whole subject, corruption in the Vatican, will be covered in a chapter in my soon-to-be-released book, Great Awakening. Just to let you know, it's one of the things we'll be talking about. One of many. All right, going to wrap this up with a little stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average responded well to President Trump's news that he's leaving the hospital. The Dow closed up 465 points today. And that gets us caught up on today's news. Thank you for joining me here on CloutHub Channel 115. I am here every weekday, 7 p.m. on Channel 115 on CloutHub. You can also get these messages on Podbean, on my Podbean podcast. They're also on Apple Podcasts. They're also on BitChute. I do have a BitChute channel, and the videos will be uploaded there. It takes a little while for BitChute to get their videos produced, but they're available there. They're also on my website. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have a blessed night. Please keep me and Denise in prayer. Keep President Trump and Melania and the family in prayer. Keep the military and the Secret Service in prayer. Love you all. Take care. I'll catch you on the next broadcast.